I think I may call this video "Don't Be Jealous of the Hat," because I'm telling you, this is the big fat sun hat right here. Y'all are going to be ordering these off Amazon before we're all done. Can't Malabar? Malabar Hat Company. Yeah, so there we are. Just wanted to give you a idea of what we've been doing. I hadn't filmed a video in, probably at least a month now. We've been busy on the farm. It is garden season. I'm going to turn this thing around so you don't have to be jealous of this hat anymore. The garden is going crazy. So, these are rattlesnake pole beans. We brought these back from Alabama. My wife absolutely loves them. Kids love them. They're a little stringy for me, but we plant them every year. These things will grow up trellises 10, 15 feet tall. So it will be a big deal. They'll jumble all over the top of these cattle panels. Down there on the far end, we have cantaloupe. They are my family heirloom. We call them the Gillum cantaloupe. They have not sprouted yet. We just planted them a couple of days ago. Over here, we have bush beans, we have lima beans, and we have pink eye purple hull peas. Got 3 or 4 rows of each of those right here in the middle, and you can just start to see that they have broke ground, and they're a couple of 3 inches tall right now. Another 2 weeks they will be a foot tall and going crazy. Good friend of ours, Circle G Farms. You can find them on Facebook. We did some trade out work, and I got those skidder tracks for raised beds from him. So one of them's got cauliflower, one of them's got Brussels sprouts, broccoli. The last one down there, you can see the big leaves. Those are yellow squash and zucchini. I've got a couple of patty pans. Those are the little white gourd looking, not really gourd, little flat pumpkin looking white, about 4 inches across. I've always wanted to plant them, so we've got 2 of those out here this year. We'll see how they do. I have got here sunflowers, lots of sunflowers for the bumblebees. We'll hopefully have plenty of flowers out for the bees. I've got okra that has not yet broken ground. I've got a couple of pepper plants down there. Oh, those are eggplants. That's what that says down there on the far end. Those are eggplants. These are the cauliflower. They're little this year. They are getting slow, really slow starts. And this is cabbage. They're making headway now. Everything started late for us this year. You can see we put out mulch through the whole garden. This is a no-till garden, and it is covered with this mulch year-round. And then we pick out the grass, lay down more cardboard or newspaper and more mulch every year, and we have inches of really good black soil full of worms and all sorts of stuff. The tomatoes are coming in late. We had starts in the greenhouse, and the last cold snap, the heater went out and froze about 200 starts, including about almost 100 tomato starts. So yeah, we got started on the second round a little late, but they're going to go in the ground by the weekend. Thornless blackberries all the way up through here. Big thornless blackberries. You can see they're just now starting to come on. But we ought to have a mess of those if I can keep the birds out of them. These are elderberries. Big batch of elderberries, and we've got another big thicket that are full of elderberries. These are grapes. Gonna have to figure my grapes out. I am not a good grape guy. I'm just learning. I don't think I trimmed them well. They already need to be sprayed. I can't keep the bugs out of them, and they eat all my grapes. But they're here. This is cucumbers. We'll grow up those trellises. We'll see how that goes. Down here amongst this little patch of grass, there are gooseberries. I've got 3 gooseberries in here. You can see those in there. Up here I have more sunflowers. There where the dark dirt is. Up there I've got muscadine grapes. Over here I got more grapes down these trellises. This over here, these are called daikon radishes. They have not broke ground yet. They're a giant Japanese radish. They're about 2 feet long. They're supposed to be a really good radish. If I don't like them, they're supposed to be great to feed to the chickens. So I think it's a win-win. Up here is 5 rows of brown pinto beans. Everybody says, why in the world would you want to plant a pinto bean? We can buy them cheap. These taste better. They really do. It amazes me how much better that they taste. And we don't eat all that many brown beans. So if I can get 5 or 6 batches of beans and then eat the rest out of store-bought beans, I'm usually pretty happy. One of these days I'll grow a bigger batch, but right now this is where the garden is. So up here is corn. I've got a bunch of corn planted. I think 6 rows, 7 rows, something like that, of 6 rows of corn. Ever since we planted this garden, I have not been able to harvest corn. 3 years ago it got knee-high, in spite of all the nitrogen and water and everything. 2 years ago got waist to chest high. Still no corn. Last year got head high or taller. We thought we were going to get corn, and still I think they didn't pollinate. Stubby little ears, ended up just letting it all dry and feeding it to the chickens. So this year we're going to pollinate the corn ourselves. I'm not sure how to do that, but there's about 1,000 other YouTube videos, and we're going to keep laying the nitrogen to it, and we're going to have corn sooner or later. The white raised beds over there, we've got some peppers in some of those, radishes, more peppers, strawberries there in the ones there in the corners. That is a rhubarb, great big rhubarb. We harvested some of it a couple of days ago and ate a strawberry rhubarb pie. I've got asparagus. This is their 2nd year. We didn't cut much of it. I wanted to make sure it was well established, and it looks like it is. So I think next year we should be able to get plenty of asparagus harvest out of these 3 raised beds. We've let them go to seed, and we're going to cut these back pretty soon. Looks like almost all the seed is falling off, so we'll get those cleaned up. Probably plant some flowers in on top of those. Chives, onions, garlic down through here, some weeds in a couple of beds. Over here are our figs. We've got 7 figs. They die back almost every year. You can see the big long stems from last year, and now trying to get restarted again this year. So the weather just gets too cold in the wintertime for them. So down through here, I have got plum trees, peach trees, cherry trees, nectarine trees, pawpaw tree, apple trees. That may be most of it. These are all dwarf varieties, so they're going to get reasonably good size, but hopefully I can fit all these in. We did have a couple of deaths in the family this year, so I'm going to have to replant a plum, and I had a Japanese persimmon that didn't make it either. That's a little fella up there. Stark Brothers should stand behind those and replace them, I'm hoping. So this year, excitingly enough, for the first time, we are going to get apples. We have 2 apple trees that have finally decided to give us some apples. They are 4 and 5 years old. Look at these apples. I'm so excited. If I can keep the bugs out of them and the squirrels, we're going to have trees absolutely loaded with apples. That one and this one here has got less. It's a 1 year younger tree, but you can see the limbs are already making for the ground. We're going to have to start propping these things up, and I'm hoping to have some apples this year. I'm excited about this. This down here is blueberries, and they have just not done well for us. I'm going to work on that a little bit more this next year and fertilize them a little better. We lost one, that's that gap right there, but you can see each one of them have got a few blueberries on them, but not very many. So last year we probably got 2 cups of blueberries, and this year we might get a quart. So for 4-year-old blueberries, they should be twice this tall. And so I have opened up, let me zoom this back out. I have opened up this area. It was covered in trees. So I've got them some more sunlight. I've got some stuff planned for in there for some storage. But it's much more open. They're getting more sun. These are our compost. This is where we bring all the chicken litter out of the laying house and out of the little brood house for the chickens that we raised. We dump it in here, stir it all up, and then we'll spread it out on the garden this year as it cools off. So we're back around to where we're going to plant the tomatoes. We've got them down there outside the greenhouse and just about ready to go in the ground. We'll put them up this weekend. So bought some rabbit manure off of a friend of ours, and we are going to put it out on the garden. It is ready to go. It's already been mixed in with the herbs, and so that will go out. Our herbs are all those protein tubs up through there. I couldn't tell you. Basil and chives and oregano and sage and catnip and milkweed and bee balm, and some of it's edible, some of it's pretty much for flowers to try to attract the bees some more. These are the cutest little signs. My mother got these for Karen. You can see we can put them on there. So I got 3 rows of purple hull peas. So all the garden rows are labeled. 4 rows of lima beans and 2 rows of bush beans. Sometimes we have a hard time. We get out here and get so excited about planting, we forget what we planted until they come up, and then you see what, it's like, oh, surprise, that's where we put those. So we're hoping this will help. We'll save these little signs, and we've got a big bundle of them. So this will also help us keep up with which tomatoes we plant where and how well they do. We've spread out our tomatoes. I had twice as many tomato baskets last year, and you couldn't get in amongst them. We had 20 tomato plants. So this year we have 10, and 10 for a couple of people should be plenty, really should. So we can up a lot of stuff, though. We can salsa and ketchup, jalapeno ketchup, and crushed tomatoes, pizza sauce, all sorts of stuff. As the tomatoes just keep traipsing on through summer, man, we just keep canning until they all run out, and then we never have to buy that stuff at the grocery store. We can feed, I would say, right now, 75%, maybe 80% roughly, our vegetables out of this big garden. And when the fruit trees come on, it'll be even more. We still buy some lettuce and stuff like that. We're not very good at succession planting that to keep it going most of the year. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to do that because we do have the greenhouse down there. So that's pretty much the garden. You can see the garden shed here. This is where I keep all the tools and the tillers and all that stuff. It's going to get doors on it here before too much longer. Oh, Karen's let the chickens out. They're enjoying the yard. Must be peace on earth and goodwill to men, because the cat is hanging out with the chickens, both of them. I think that might be just about like the lion and the lamb. What else did we do this year? So we had a couple of failures, and I didn't do a good job of recording them, but our brood house for the baby chicks was way too little for 100. We lost 43 out of 100 chickens. So now, always bigger and better, right? You don't ever take a loss. So now we're essentially tripling the size of the brood house. This is 8 by 8. We're adding on to it. We're going to leave a little divider here where these two will be connected, and they will be able to stay in the small part of the house. We're going to take this wall off right here. They'll be able to stay in the small end of the house when they're little, and when they get bigger, they'll have access to all of it. They come and go in and out of the far side of the chicken run, and the laying hens will stay over here on this side. So this is back down here where the greenhouse stuff is. Some various plants that we're probably going to turn around and sell or give away, and some tomatoes that we're going to put in the garden. Said we lost close to 200 of them here in the greenhouse. Oh, the neighbor's dog. They came down the other day to borrow my tractor to rake, and one of the dogs had never spent any time around chickens. So one of the chickens lost all of its tail feathers. It was pretty exciting there for a few minutes. We finally got the dog under control and the chicken back in the coop, so we don't let them out all that often. But this is the greenhouse. It's sitting empty right now because everything can sit outside and do even better. And it gets pretty sweltery in there. So we're going to clean that up and store the rest of our stuff. We've got some plants down here that were about dead we're trying to recoup, and we've got a volunteer squash next to my not-so-volunteer wife. She is filling up the water for the chicken. So I think that's most of what we got going on. You can see the neighbor has baled the hay. We got 4 big round bales off the field here. I'm going to push up these brush piles with the dozer here in the next week or so before the grass starts to grow back, and then it's going to be onward and upward. I'm going to brush hog and clean up and haul in some dirt and gravel and get some things ready to maybe start pushing up a house pad this summer. We've decided, instead of putting the house all the way over there, which would be way away from all of the things over here that we've spent the last 6 years building, we're going to put the house pad right here. We're going to push down that hickory tree. We're going to clean up a bunch of this stuff, and we're going to put the house right in here. Be close to everything, tucked in behind the shop. You won't even hardly see it from the road. And the septic is already right here where you see these T-posts. The electric is up here. So I don't have to run all the utilities nearly as far. Everything will be ready, and it'll be right in here. We'll just get this cleaned up and doze this out and build us a house. So that's where we stand with the farm here recently. I can't think of anything else exciting going on. Sure is pretty though out here. This is just like everybody's probably partial to their place, but this is sure God's country in my eyes. I'll leave it with you with a beautiful view of the sunset. And as always, God bless. Appreciate you all spending a little time with me. If you don't mind, like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon, and you'll get notifications when I upload these videos. And share this with your friends. I'll put it out on Facebook, and if you don't care to share it, maybe somebody else might enjoy watching it as well. I'm just kind of sharing our homestead journey as we go, and I think for the most part people seem to enjoy the videos. So y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.